Yes. The first portion of your test will be character matching. So, who is Brendan? The narrator of the novel, right? Also goes by what name? You like to eat them for breakfast, maybe. Donut.
Donut, yeah.
Hey? Because sometimes Brendan will be referred to in these questions as Donut, because that's what the 19 men that he worked with called him. Eric Marsh.
He's the captain. The guy that got him the job, basically.
He hires Donut, and he is he's not the captain, but what is his title? Because Jesse is the captain. Yeah, he would be maybe the marshal. I'll have to look up his title. I don't have it on here. But Jesse is the captain. He's second in command. And which answers your next question. Jesse Steed is the captain, and he's second in command for Granite Mountain. Brian Frisbee. Do you remember him?
I don't remember him.
Do you remember Blue Ridge?
Oh, he would be the main one.
He's the super. That's what they're called. Super. So he's in charge of Blue Ridge. He's the one that gave Donut a ride out, right? In essence, he's the one that saved his life. That's why he's on here. As without him, he probably would have burned by the machinery.
What's his name?
Brian Frisbee.
Right.
And a way to remember that is B. Brian goes to Blue Ridge. He's the only other B character on this list besides Brendan.
Okay.
Who's your main character? Natalie.
His Brendan's wife.
Girlfriend, then never. Nope, they never got married. Never got married. Girlfriend, and then nothing. Well,
They got a kid.
baby mom, because he is married now to someone else. And I don't know what happened to Natalie.
She just got
Well, she moved, remember at the end of the novel, she moved to Phoenix. So she's living her life too. They were young when it happened. So, girlfriend will get you the correct on the character. Only for a little while. Long enough to have Michaela and try to work that out. Chris McKenzie.
wasn't he the one that
Bullied him at first and then
tried to make him bet to really to see if they'd break it.
yeah, gives him a lot of hell and then actually turns to be his best friend, right? They ended up living together and become really good friends. And Michaela?
His daughter.
Brendan's daughter. Don't get Natalie and Michaela confused, please. Michaela is the daughter. And if you remember that, then Natalie goes to the only other girl part because I don't have his mom on there. So those are the characters. Whose house does Brendan spend the majority of his childhood in?
His grandma.
And then
His grandma and grandpa's, yes. And remember, it's his step-grandpa, but I just have grandma and grandpa's. Because his mom doesn't have a house the majority of his childhood. Who lived with Brendan and his mother before they moved to Arizona? Who does not come with them?
Brother.
His brother Chad. Yeah.
Do we have to remember Chad?
No, it's in multiple choice. His brother.
Okay.
And the next question will kind of answer that question for you. Well, I guess they don't go in order. But Brendan and Chad's dad is what nationality? This is where he gets his temper.
Irish.
They're Irish.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing he got from his dad, right? His temper and his last name. Because, well, dad wasn't around. Brendan and Chad's dad is what nationality? And they're Irish. What drug does Brendan try right before joining the Hot Shots? Heroin. During high school, what does Brendan do to make money?
drug dealer.
He sells drugs. What exercise do the Hot Shots do to prepare themselves for fires? The majority of their exercise is what? Running. Calisthenics too, but running. Right? With a lot of weight on their back and
Choice, right?
lots and lots of running.
That one's
Yes, it's multiple choice. And I don't have calisthenics as a choice. Running will be a parent. Don't get confused by the hiking because it wasn't a hike. They were running it. You were not allowed to walk it.
That'd be a bad habit.
They had to run up it. They were not allowed to walk.
Hey, coming down would be nice though.
Okay, the first famous fire that killed 14 firefighters that the Hotshots study, what was the name of that one? Is it Chickaragua, the Dose, the Yarnell, or the South Canyon?
However you say it.
Nope, that was his first fire. South Canyon is the one that killed 14. Say, you could think things are headed south. The idiom that things are going bad killed 14 of them. Chickaragua was his first fire,
Okay.
which is the next question. What is the first fire Brendan worked? Chickaragua. Yeah. And I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but it's the long C one. What color, when you're on the fire, do you want to be in to be safe?
Or,
Black.
You want to be in the black because it's already been burned.
Oh,
and
I thought you were
fire's not
talking
going to
about
come
that
back.
thing that they wear or whatever.
Yeah. The yellows. Yeah.
Yellow.
Yeah. What does Brendan contemplate doing to himself a few months after Yarnell? Shooting himself. Then we have true false. Brendan has a hard time trusting anyone, even his brothers at first. True. Remember, he was trying to hide his asthma. He was trying to hide any weakness he had because he thought that they were all out to get him and get him fired, as he'd never really developed that trust with anyone. Even with his mom, trust was hard. Chad wanted to be with his mom and Brendan.
False. Because Brendan was the only one that wanted to be with his mom. And toward the end, he didn't really want to be with her.
And when he became a teenager, he didn't even want to, but he did because, well, that's what he needed to do. Brendan's problems with trust started as a child.
Yeah.
Brendan's goal is to end the cycle of his family disappointing their children.
Yeah.
That's his main goal, right? He doesn't want to be a disappointing, no-show, good-for-nothing dad like his dad was and his
Didn't shoot himself.
dad's dad was. Well, yeah, Michaela is the main reason that he didn't. That and, well, everyone else. As it'd just be reliving everything else. He didn't do it for himself, which he had to work through that to do things for himself. Eric was the first person to give Brendan a real chance.
Yes.
True.
Granite Mountain Hotshots care a lot about each other.
Yes.
Yes.
Hotshots can be gone on a fire for weeks at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brendan becomes the spokesperson for the 19 men who died. Donut was the lookout at Yarnell.
Yes.
Yes.
Eric knew the fire shifted when he led his men into the canyon.
Wait, re-say that?
Eric knew the fire had shifted when he led his men into the canyon.
He didn't.
No, it shifted right after they dropped down in the canyon. Because he wouldn't have done it. Okay, fairly easy. That's your matching, multiple choice, and true false. Now you have the short answer. And short answer, remember, as long as you write and it makes sense and you use complete sentences, because I ask you to, these ones should go fairly well, right? Okay, so the first question for your short answer, and for your short answer, you can get by with 2 or 3 sentences to get these 5 points. Okay, most of them you don't need, but give me more than 1 sentence. Okay? Describe the brotherhood that the 20 Granite Mountain Hotshots feel. So, why are they so close?
Because they all kind of have, like, the same, like, not the
They
same
all
background.
have like a, they all have a, not, I wouldn't say like a bad background, but like they've all had their issues.
They've all gone through things. They all want that brotherhood, right? And that service and the sacrifice, that's why they choose to do it. And also just
The time they have
the time they spend together. You spend a lot of time with people and you get close. Now, granted, not everyone's like that and they don't hang out with their work family outside of work, but these guys become close. They need each other, right? Their backgrounds, they need each other. So they do, and you can talk about things they do. They have barbecues together, they go to birthday parties, they hang out with families, they have holidays together. Okay, weeks before Yarnell, he talks to Eric. Why does Brendan want to stop hot-shotting? Michaela has become depressed, and what is that meaning for her? What is she doing?
She's not eating.
She's not eating. She has stopped eating. She's not sleeping well, and she has high anxiety and depression because Brendan keeps leaving. And people say 1-year-olds don't know these things. They get these things. Okay? Kids are much smarter than we give them credit for. Way too smart, actually, but much smarter than we give them credit for. So this is scary for multiple reasons. Well, a 1-year-old is depressed, but also his family is coming back. He's becoming the dad that he never wanted to be by trying to be a better dad. And Eric handles it really well. Remember that when he does not in the movie. Worst part of the movie. Okay, why does Brendan think he doesn't deserve any help after his brothers die in the fire at Yarnell? Why does he think he's not deserving?
Well, because he's perfectly fine.
Yeah, like nothing happened to him.
He looks fine. He doesn't have any injuries. He lived. So why should I have any help? Nothing happened to him, right? Except for it did. I'm not saying nothing happened to him, because that is a very traumatic, awful experience to go through.
Well, and he
I
has
couldn't
to take
imagine it.
care of their families when they're actually like bringing him food and stuff, and it's kind of where he doesn't feel like
He doesn't feel like he deserves it because he's fine. But he's really not. Where does Brendan want to be buried? Oh, goodness, married. I don't know where he got married. But where does he want to be buried when he dies? And the memorial, yes. Alongside the majority. Not all of them, but the majority are there, as some families chose not to.
Where is that at?
It is in Prescott, I believe. I think they have a pretty big memorial to them. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's in Prescott. And I believe it's pretty close to the juniper tree that they saved. I think. Don't quote me on that. And if you didn't see this is the picture of them. The front cover is the picture of them in front of the juniper tree. Well, not very long before the Yarnell fire.
I can't remember, but don't they actually like in the scene like show them taking that picture?
Yes. Yeah. And then at the end of the movie, they show the real pictures of stuff. And why is it important for him to be buried here? He's only, 21 at this point? Why is it important for him he's already decided this is where he wants to be buried. Why is it important?
To me, it's his first ever family, you could say.
It's his true feeling of family, right? And these men forever changed his life. They did before they died, but their deaths did as well, because he realized that he had more to live for in the moment that he decided that he was going to live. The majority of the end of the book is talking about a union for firefighters, right? Including hotshots, smoke jumpers, all of the people who work on wildfires. Why does he think there needs to be one? And what does he think this is going to improve for these people? Why does Brendan think there needs to be a union? Does everyone know what a union is?
I assume a big group.
It is a group, and most of them you pay dues to be part of it, and the union fights for your rights. So the actual structure firefighters have a union to make sure they're not being overworked. They're being paid properly. They have the proper protection. If there is something that legally happens, they will pay the legal fees up to a certain extent. Like, we don't technically have a teachers, it's not called a union, but we do have the Educators Association, and each state has their own. But being part of that, if something were to legally happen in the classroom, someone accused me of something awful, they would pay up to, I think, a couple $100,000 worth of legal fees and provide the legal team. Like, I would just have to provide the documentation, but they would take care of everything. And that's just being part of it. So that's why does he think there needs to be a union for, I kind of gave you the reasons there,
Yeah.
but for hot shots.
Basically help get better gear and stuff if you need it.
Better equipment, someone fighting for them to be better paid, because people aren't lining up in droves to do this. This is dangerous work. So better payment, better hours, better equipment,
Probably better like health insurance or something.
probably benefits. I doubt they're hourly. I doubt they get benefits. So just better overall conditions for these men and women. And also, think about how much money it costs for the airplanes, for the VLAT and all of that. If you had a union, you could
Pitch in
help
more.
designate more of that. He thinks that that would improve their jobs overall, right? So you can talk about all of those things. Pay, benefits, but mainly protection is the big one.
Equipment.
And equipment.
Yeah.
But as he said, it's a catch-22 because with better equipment, they're going to get closer to the fire. Give me a bulletproof vest and I'm going to get closer to my attacker, even though your head's not covered. Like, why are you running at them? Your head is just whatever. Movies.
They don't think to shoot you in the head, that's the thing.
Well, some people do. Okay, last one before you go. Essay question. Brendan is saved by joining the Hot Shots. What do you think would have happened to Brendan if Eric hadn't hired him? Why do you think this? And why it is important to have people that care about you in your life like the Hot Shots cared about Brendan. So what do you think would have happened to Brendan in his life if he didn't get this chance from Eric? And why is it so important to have people who care about you?
You would have